It was so funny. I was thinking to myself, oh my gosh, are dimes a controlled substance nowadays? And then I found out, yes, they actually are. Wow! This is it. A year in the making. We have been talking and promising the Dimes Challenge since the end of 2020, and it's here. The Dime Challenge 2022 is on. For those of you who don't know what the Dime and Envelope Challenge is, it's something that I initiated about 5 years ago when I was actually writing for another website and web group, and have continued. We've let it go for a while, but I think that in this new year, when people are coming and are wondering what we're about, and as I'm trying my best to show you what the ethos of Lace on Race is, and particularly the focus that we've been having in what I'm beginning to call Money January, this is the perfect time to talk about the Dimes and the Envelope Challenge. And yes, I am very well aware that it's the middle of January. And yes, I know I still have the Christmas tree up. I smile every time I see it. For those of you who don't know, my staff and leadership team gave me this beautiful tree for Christmas, sent it all the way. And well, I just smile every single time I see it, and I'm not getting rid of it. I am also still drinking out of my Christmas, peace, joy, happiness, best wishes mug given to me by Walter and Brenda. And if you're asking me, am I aware that it says Christmas? Yes. Am I going to keep using it for a while? Also, yes. No matter what the season, in all seriousness, no matter what the season, there is nothing like being reminded that you are loved and seen. And every time I see the poster, the Lace on Race Cafe poster that was given to me as a gift at my combination birthday and transition to executive director here in October of 2020, now every single time I see the Christmas tree, if you know what to look for, you'll see a little teeny tiny square. It's a beautiful 3D picture that my friend Julie gave me, who's also one of my staff members. So every single time I sit down here, I remember how loved I actually am. And am I going to give that up? Heck no. And in fact, that is the perfect segue into the Dimes and Envelope Challenge. The Dimes and Envelope Challenge are both about giving. It's about giving out of first fruits. It's about giving sacrificially, and it's about giving reflexively. That is something that I hammered into the community of Lace on Race in 2018 and 2019 and part of 2020. And then things blew up in 2020. And I started backing off of that ethos because I didn't want to alienate people. Well, one of the things about 2022 is that most of you guys are in the stands. And for those of you who are going to come down, you're going to come down regardless sometime during the year. If you're going to stay in the stands or if you're going to abandon the arena altogether, I don't know what to tell you. If eventually I'm going to hold you and walk with you in meaningful ways, there's probably nothing I could say that would deter you from what you know is your call and what you know is your purpose and what you know is an ethos that you want to build upon. If you're not inclined to do it, there is painfully little that I can do to convince you to do so. That is why I feel this huge sense of freedom in 2022. That is why we are doing the Dimes and the Envelope Challenge. I remember last year in 2021 when I was previewing and what do they call it? Previewing. That's the word. We're going to go with that word. The Dimes and Envelope Challenge and giving, teasers. When I was giving teasers for the Dimes and Envelope Challenge, I was, get ready. And then February happened. And I barely did an ask every other month in the year of 2020 because I didn't want to seem opportunistic. And when I'm talking about money, it's easy to point to me and go, she's so opportunistic, including about today. There are going to probably be people in the comments and in my direct messages talking about how opportunistic I am when I'm talking about giving money to other people. But you know what? They're going to be there. I'm going to hold to what I say. So, hey, we're going to keep going. We're going to keep doing this. What is the dime and the envelope challenge? Let me give you a little bit of backstory. In 2017, those of you who were walking with me, and I don't know how many of you are still around, but those who were walking with me in two other spaces, one notably, knew about my ex-husband's mental health challenges, and knew that it was devastating and unexpected, and I was blindsided and gobsmacked, and whew. So people came together and they held me incredibly well. They got together and where my husband had done a suicide attempt on the property, they pooled their money together so I could be at a hotel for a couple of days. So I had a little bit of time to recover from the trauma of that. They allowed me space to be able to take a couple of days off, so that I could process the idea of, being with my husband as he tried to cut his neck, and being there and trying to stop it. It's very hard to go back to your cubicle after something like that. And people held me well. It was not without some clenching and not without some angst. In that group, there were people, because there was like, help Lace. And at the time I was afraid I was going to lose everything. And people did. They came through. But people were saying, I would love to, but I don't have enough. And can I still be in the group if I can't give money to this effort to Lace? And it's like, well, of course you can. And after the crisis had passed, and there were other people going, well, other people have problems too. She's not the only person whose husband tried to commit suicide. That's probably true, but the odds are low that in any given day you're going to know of more than one person who attempted suicide or whose loved one attempted suicide. And so I felt the need, after things had quieted down somewhat, to do two things. To one, give a thank you, a deep thank you for the people who had helped me. Let me tell you, it was not the Ritz-Carlton. It was a mid to low priced, where the parents of San Diego State students stay, in La Mesa, which was about 5 miles away from my house. But 5 miles is a world away when you don't have to think about cleaning up blood from concrete. So I had to speak to my gratitude, but I also wanted to speak because, everything is fodder, including my own life. I also wanted to speak to people who said they couldn't. And no shame. If you can't, you can't. But when it comes to being able to be there for people when you say you are ride or die, then it does start to matter a little bit, because usually the can'ts and the won'ts come out when the need is there. I did not initiate that fundraising effort, and I benefited from it greatly. I do not think I would have survived March and April of 2017 as well as I did without those beautiful women. But when I came back and I was feeling my oats a little bit more, I wanted to talk about it. I know that a lot of times people really feel that there is something that they can't do. And because they can't do this one thing, then they just bail out of the car altogether. And what I was thinking was, how do you get creative? How do you get creative about becoming a reflexive giver? And part of also it was I don't know this Lace. All I know is that she writes. That's true. You don't know me. But how do we start? How do we start to reflexively partner with people who we don't know? And when we start talking about the issue of race, it gets more trenchant. It gets more relevant. It gets more crucial. We live in a society that is deeply, deeply segregated. And even where we think that segregation is unintentional, well, it's not my fault. I live in Washington State. Well, Washington State made sure that Black people didn't move there as they were gaining statehood. And over 100 years later, you're seeing the ramifications of that. It's not my fault. I live in Grosse Pointe and not Detroit. But then you have to look at the ways that Grosse Pointe separated itself from Detroit. We have to look at the ways that Rancho Penasquitos and Poway and Forest Ranch and Encinitas separated itself from San Diego City so that they would not, or dominant culture would not have to deal as much with brown and Black people. In 2021, it's hard to talk about or hard to fathom how housing patterns show up in the day-to-day when those housing patterns were established in the 30s and 40s and 50s. And now we're saying, well, that was 65 years ago. I just happened, Poway had the best house and it has the best school district. And then it's like, if we're going to talk about the school district, let's talk about the fact that Poway and parts of San Diego City that aligned itself with Poway took themselves out of the San Diego Unified School District. Why does this matter for dimes and envelopes? It means that for a large part of you, a lot of social justice work is academic. It's hypothetical. And because it's academic and hypothetical, it's really hard to make it visceral. I want to make it visceral. There will be people in our community, there have been people in our community who have needed our help. One reason that we started the Lace on Race Mental and Emotional Health Fund was because we did not want to depend on either the clench or the transient feeling states of the people who might be doing the giving. We'll just do it. We'll do it. But eventually we want to be able to do a both and. We want to be able to make it reflexive. It's one reason why we select and fund community partners, because when we left it to the community wasn't, let's just put it nicely, the community was not quite ready to take on that mantle themselves. I'd like us to get there. This time in 2023, I want us to get there. And so how do we start learning some of the skills? And it is a skill. Reflexive giving, walking with the stranger, welcoming the stranger. Those are not innate. They are learned. Left to ourselves, we are clannish. That's where more than a little bit of white supremacy and racism comes in. We are clannish. And we are provincial, and we are short-term. If we put ourselves in a position, either by accident or by design, to not be able to be there in real ways for the people that we say we stand for and with, there is dissonance, yes, but it's dissonance we don't have to face. One of the things I'm asking you to do here at Lace on Race is to face it, but to face it hopefully in a way that is galvanizing and fun and reinforcing and will help you become closer to the person that you say you want to be. And the way that I did it 5 years ago and 4 years ago was with two challenges. Let's do the easiest one first. You know that I am all about the relational. You know that there's no way that I feel that racial justice happens in a vacuum and that racial justice is a solo endeavor. I believe two things and two things strongly. Racial justice is an inside job. That is why we work on the internals. We're going to do more and more and more and more and more of that. And I can't wait. I'm so excited. And also that not only Is it internal? It is also collective. Collective can be one of 10,000, like you guys all are. You're one of 10,000 of people who in one way or another are attached or affiliated in Lason race, and however engaged or superficial that may be. It could be 10,000. It can be 1,000. It can be 100. It can be 10. It can be 1. One of the things that we need to be able to learn to do is to be able to say yes, to get creative and curious about saying yes instead of I can't. And I was thinking about this. I thought about this a lot in my own life. I've never made a lot of money. I have always lived very modestly. I'm happy for that. But that does mean that some things have not come easy. But I have been able to, even with my modest income, give and give reflexively. Someone says, I need, and I say yes. Hopefully most of the time before the rest of the sentence comes out of their mouth, I'm saying yes first. There are a lot of us, particularly in these really weird times, because in COVID times, it's way different than it was in 2017 and 2018. And people feel stretched to the limit. They feel that I can't give anything else. I felt that. I have felt that in the entire 2000s, honestly. My husband first got sick in 2003, sick enough to be hospitalized, and he was in and out of hospitals for 3 years. I remember turning out the lights so that the marshals who were coming to foreclose on my home couldn't serve me the papers, because my own paltry income from the county was not cutting it when Bob was in a mental institution for the better part of a year, and then an intensive outpatient for 6 months after that. And again in 2004, and again in 2005. There were times when I did not have to worry about turning on the lights because San Diego Gas and Electric took care of that for me. I am telling you this not for pity, but to let you know that for those of you who feel that I'm sitting here in San Diego, California, living large. No. I can bend a nickel with the best of them. And I do. And even when my fortunes changed, when it increased, I still lived modestly. All that meant is that I could give more. I live in the same house I've lived in 20 years. It is a modest house. It's got some land attached to it. It's like the Bonnie Raitt song. It's a small house under a big sky. I'm not looking to upgrade. Driving the same car for years. I'm hoping I can get front seat covers, and then I am going to feel like a diva. Y'all won't be able to touch me. But no one is looking at Lincolns or Range Rovers or Hyundai Palisades, although they are really pretty. But I'm very happy with the car that I have. I enjoy wigs. I've never bought one. Oh, that's not true. I did buy one that was $100 once, and I was shaking the entire time. I wear it maybe once a year because I'm so afraid for it. But there were times when I had to say no, when I honestly couldn't. When people would whisper behind my back at work, she never goes to potlucks with us. She never does happy hour with us. Well, that's because I couldn't afford even a $5 glass of beer. I didn't do potlucks because even a $5 dish was $5 too much if I'm going into Albertsons and trying to find it. If I'm trying to ration out my gas so that quarter tank will get me from Tuesday to Friday when I got paid. because there was nothing left. Believe me, I know what that feels like, and it was not long ago. We're not talking the 80s. But I still managed, even then, to find something. As someone who really believes in community, and one of the things that got me through these dark times from 2003 all the way to 2022, it has been people who have walked with me. People who would invite me to Starbucks, and before I said, I'm not sure I can't, I got you. Come along to the happy hour. And you'd get this look, you'd get this look. There was nothing better than when I had even a couple more nickels to rub together, to be the one to say, let me take you to Starbucks. And then they'll look at me like, are you sure? I'm not trying to make you miss your mortgage. It's like, oh, no. I saved for it. I saved for it. I couldn't afford to take them to dinner. Are you with me? Are you picking up what I'm putting down? I couldn't afford to take them to dinner. But back in the day, you could conceivably, for $5, do 2 cups of coffee and maybe a small pastry to share, like one of those little madeleines. And people would come, and they would be so kind. They would like, oh, I'll just drink water. Oh no, you will drink the coffee. And let me tell you, it was sacrificial. That $5 would have been something that would allow me to go down to the cafeteria the next day and maybe get a breakfast sandwich. It's not like I pulled money from other places. It meant I didn't have a breakfast sandwich that month. And that is what I'm talking about with the dime challenge. See, even when I didn't have, I felt like I didn't have 2 nickels to rub together. Wait for it. I'll do like they do in beauty videos and let it and do this so that it can focus. I could always find a dime underneath couch cushions, in the back of the truck, dumping out a purse or two. I could find a dime and a couple of pennies and a nickel, but I'm focusing on dimes here. I could always find a dime. And sometimes I was lucky and I found a quarter or 2 quarters. The point is that it's really important when you're in relationship to have reciprocity and parity. The people that pour into your life deserve to be recognized, and the people who potentially can pour into your life deserve to be recognized. And so I came up with the dime challenge. I finally got the dimes. Dimes are hard. Dimes are really hard to get. I finally got to Mission Federal Credit Union, and they kind of gave me a little side eye when I asked for a roll of dimes, but they did. And just yesterday, I took the roll because I finally found the roll. I've had the roll for a month. Finally found the roll, and I poured it out, and I thought that it would be silly me. I thought that it would fill the brim. Nope. This is what $5, I'll do it again. This is what $5 in dimes looks like. And I when I was at home, because I'm at the office right now, when I was at home, I was thinking I should get one of those little aperitif glasses that my mom gave me when she wanted me to be more classy, and put it in there, and then the dimes will look like more. But I actually want you to see what this looks like. This is what 50 dimes look like. $5. Here's the dime challenge. I want you to find a vessel. It could be what I used, which is a beautiful glass that was filled with tiramisu from Costco. It was a 6-pack. I actually got it just for these, but let me tell you, I also got 6 tiramisus. Everybody won! And it's going to be empty. It's going to be empty. I'm going to empty this out. You're going to hear it. At the beginning, it's going to be empty. And then every week, you're going to put in a dime. Just a dime. I don't want you to get fancy. I don't want you to get fancy. Don't start shoving dollars in your vessel. Don't put quarters in your vessel. If you have to, pennies, sure, 10 of them. Or 5 pennies and 1 nickel. And it might look bigger by the time you're done. But if you can, I want you to use the dime. The little, dinky, insignificant, humble little dime. And every week, put another dime in. And we missed 2 weeks in the 2 weeks of January. And I was thinking to myself, oh my gosh, I'm going to have to find 2 more dimes because I'm going to need 52. Nope. What you do is you just wait for 2 weeks and then you do the dimes challenge. You're going to have 50 of them. And if you're faithful about it, you're going to have, wait for it. Hold on. Here it is. It's happening. Not one got on the carpet. You're going to have 50 dimes by December 31st. So somewhere between Thanksgiving and the New Year's, because you're I want you to find someone. It can be someone that you don't know but you've always wanted to know. It's been someone who has enriched your life. It's been someone who you want to pour into, and you invite them out for coffee. Who knows, by then Starbucks coffee may cost exactly $5. But it will be modest. And if it means that only one person gets the coffee because you found $5, and nowadays coffee is close to $5, then they drink coffee, you drink water. If you can't get enough for a biscotti or one of those madeleines, you live without it. The point is to abide, and the point is also to sacrifice. You're going to be sacrificing a dime a week, and you're also going to be sacrificing time. I mean, even the most, and I'm going to put this here so everyone no one can see it. It's here. $5. I did that on purpose. $5 is not a whole lot of money. And even the most modest of us could probably find $5. We're going to talk about that later. We could probably find $5 in the course of a month. And then it's like you're done. You could cheat your way through this. You could do what I did and go to Mission Federal and get your roll of dimes. But I'm not going to do that. I'm going to keep the dimes in here. I might put it in the aperitif glass so I can keep this glass. It's a really handy water glass. But I'm also going to do the dimes challenge. And every week you're going to see my dime count get higher and higher and higher. Why is this important? Because a lot of us doubt our ability, our agency to be the people we say we want to be. You hear this all the time. It's like, if I had $1 million, I would be the biggest philanthropist ever. You don't have to be a millionaire or a billionaire to become a philanthropist. You don't. When I was making top ramen work for 3 days for lunch at work, I found ways. I know the people that made sure that I got to happy hour, or that waved me on. You know what? I'll just bring 2 cakes for the potluck. You don't worry about it. They didn't make much more than I did. They might have had partners that helped them out, but we are not talking that it was coming from something that they wouldn't feel. If they were at Valley Farms and they bought 2 of those Swiss cake rolls, then that meant that was $10 that their family didn't get. That meant that maybe they didn't have sandwiches for 2 weeks. They didn't talk to me about it. They didn't say, I want you to know how much I sacrificed for you. But I knew that they did. And let me tell you, there was nothing sweeter. There was nothing sweeter than to remember the people at Revenue and Recovery who saw me in my need and made sure that I could stay part of the community. And I know it cost them. And let me tell you who it wasn't. Eye to eye. Let me tell you who it wasn't. It wasn't managers or supervisors. It wasn't directors or assistant directors. It wasn't section chiefs or division chiefs. It was clerks. It was interns. There's actual social science behind that, social psychology behind that, and sociology and economics behind that. The lower on the socioeconomic scale that you are, and by the way, this is also when you strip out church and synagogue and religious giving, people on the lower end of the economic spectrum proportionally give more. The more you make, the less you give. I want to turn that on its head. I want to turn it on its head. So for those of you for whom a dime is going to be tough, I'm still challenging you, lovingly, to find the dime. To find the dime. For those of you for whom a dime is laughable, like there are some people who do pick up dimes when they see them on the ground, and then there are people who do not. If you are one of those who doesn't feel that it is worth your time to pick up the dime, even if it's a dime you dropped, I still want you to do it. I'm still inviting you to do it. And I don't want you to cheat. Don't you dare go to Mission Federal or any other bank and get a roll of quarters. I want you to find the dime. And I want you to have a person in mind that person could change over the course of the year. We got 50 weeks. But I want you to have someone in mind. I do. I'm cheating a little bit by using this dime because this dime is an illustration dime, but I will be doing the dime challenge in a real way with the rest of y'all. But let's just say that this was one of my dimes, a dime that I am coming up with every week. I can't wait to dump out all 3 purses and see how much I come up with, but I'm only going to take a dime. But I already have a person in mind. I even know where I want to take them. Of course, it's the Hamlet in Lemon Grove. And I want them to know. I want to be able to sit with them and tell them how much they mean to me, how much they've enriched my life. I want to serve them eye to eye. Because a lot of times the people that go above and beyond, even in little ways, I got you on the potluck, girl. Don't you worry about that $4 Chardonnay at happy hour. They don't get thanked enough. It's the big spenders that get thanked. You know, Jeff Bezos gives $10 billion to something. That's a rounding error for him. The lady who made sure that I could go to the potluck at Revenue and Recovery proportionally gave far more. And can I tell you it was nothing sweeter than to be able to make sure that I abided with Mona? Because it was. Yeah. That I abided with Mona, or that I abided with Becky, or that I abided with Keith. I remember, it's been almost a year since I retired from the county, and some of the names and the faces have faded, but let me tell you who I remember over the last 20 years, last 25 years, when things were hard. My entire time at the county was so hard. I remember the people who showed up and stepped up and suited up. I remember the people who left muffins on my cubicle desk. I remember the people that would say, throwing it. You want here's a Keurig. I think you'll like it. It's got that cinnamon stuff in it that you like. It's not a big deal. It wasn't a big deal. She bought 50 of them at Costco. She gave me one, but it's still sacrificial. So we're going to do it with the dimes. Are you with me so far? Are you with me so far in the dimes? Because it gets harder. Not harder. Bigger. I'm going to be using this envelope for the dime challenge. If you know what to look for, you will see a card. It was in here. Also, from Brenda and Walter. It was my Christmas card. And this is the card I'm going to use for 2022. Here's the challenge. You put money in here. I don't care if it's $1, $5, 20, but I want you to feel it. I want you to feel it. I want you to feel it. $10, $20, $40. If you got it like that, $100. And then I want you to give it away. I want you to give it away. I want you to give it to the person who asked you for a quarter, and you open up this envelope, and every week there's 1 or 5 or 10 or 20 or 50 or 100 in there, and you give it to them. You are not asking whether or not they deserve it. You're not asking yourself what they're going to do with it. You give more than you ask, and you give it before they finish the sentence. We are not good at that. And you do it whether or not, oh, this is important. You do it whether or not they thank you, whether or not they go, oh my gosh, thank you. No, some of them are going to just go, yeah. They're going to act like they're entitled to the $20. And you know what? You know what? They sort of are. We live in a society where people have to stand in the median at Broadway and Massachusetts and Lemon Grove trying to peddle off-brand Gatorade. And if you're driving past them with a full tank of gas and a sports drink in your cup holder, you are part of the system that got him there. It does not make any difference whether you are an unwitting or a witting part of that system. So when he takes your $5 or $10 or $20 or $50 and he acts as if that's his due, yeah, it is. No one deserves to sleep in the overpass at Lemon Grove Ave. And he probably will that night. And even if he doesn't, even if it turns out he's a scammer and he lives in a 2-bedroom apartment with 8 other people begging like this because, for whatever reason, the VA decided that he wasn't disabled enough. Or maybe he does have a drug or an alcohol problem. It's not for you. It's not for you. It's not for you to decide. You give it, you look them in the eye, and you go on your way. You don't ask for receipts. You don't decide for them that what they need is not what's in your envelope, but what you choose they should have. Oh yeah, there's McDonald's across the street, and nowadays the cheapest hamburger is $2.79, and a Happy Meal is $7.99. They don't deserve my dollar, but I'll go get them a Happy Meal, and then I'll feel good about myself. No. One of the things that we need to learn to do as a community in Lace on Race is to go less for the dopamine hits, go less for where you're going to feel good, because a lot of the work in social justice in general and in racial justice in particular is not going to feel particularly wonderful. I struggled with telling you this part. I thought about it. I've thought about it for a few days now when I was preparing for this video, but I will. Shortly after my intern did what she did in February of 2021, there was a crisis. I will not tell you the crisis. I will preserve confidentiality. I won't even say her name here. Lace on Race responded with $1,000. And that was 2 months after our revenues had been cut in half. We made a promise to love her in tangible ways, and we did. And even though, because we didn't get it, no fanfare, no balloons, we do it again, and we do it again, and we do it again. say yes first. We're going to be talking more about the dime and envelope challenge. Why? Because we're going to be talking about it every week. Because every week you're going to see me fill up mine with a dime, and you're going to see me with this envelope, which by the end of the year, it being in my purse and me pulling it out every week, it should look beat up. It should have coffee stains on it. Knowing me, it will also have lipstick stains on it. But there you go. There you go. I love the fact that I'm going to be using Brenda and Walter's envelope. It reminds me of the sacrifice that they give to the community that I'm a part of with them all the time. I don't think that they would mind my saying that they are not rich. Quite the opposite. Quite the opposite. Which is why this mug means so very much to me. I know it cost them. I'm not talking in terms of dollars and cents. I don't care if they paid $100 for this mug at Tiffany's or if they paid $1.25 at Dollar Tree. This mug is precious to me. Every time I drink out of it, English breakfast, every time I drink out of it, I am reminded of their love. People need to be reminded that someone sees them and that they deserve more than the minimum. In the Dimes Challenge, people who have touched your life or who have the potential to touch your life or who have the potential of being touched by you deserve to be seen and honored. Not with anything grandiose. You don't have to take them to the Bahamas. You don't even have to give them a good rib dinner at Cali Comfort, although if someone wants to give me a good rib tip dinner at Cali Comfort, I'm not going to say no. I wanted this modest and humble. You can find a dime. If you think you're too poor to find a dime, I challenge you to find a dime. And if you think you're too rich that this exercise is meaningless to you, I challenge you to find a dime. Lovingly. I also challenge you to find an envelope. And again, I want it to cost you. If you put in, for example, last year my commitment to myself was $20 a week. $20 a week in the envelope. I gave more in other places, but $20 a week. And sometimes I would fill it up again, so it would be $40 or $60 a week or something, but it would never be less than 20. And that was money that came out of other things. I want you to really feel that. This wasn't, I'll just go to the ATM and then I'll put 20 bucks in. No, that meant that if I was going to get a mani, that meant that didn't happen. It meant that if I was going to get a sandwich at Grindr, it didn't happen. It doesn't mean that I pull more money out of the ATM so I can go and get the sandwich at Grindr. No, it meant that no Grindr sandwich. It meant that it didn't matter whether or not there was a sale at CVS. I didn't get the lipstick. We need to learn how to sacrifice and not give out of our excess, but give out of our first fruits and give again and again and again and again. And it will cost you. And and for some of us, like I said, it's a rounding error. But you know what is comfortable and then just a little bit more for you to put in your envelope. Maybe instead of $1, it's $2. Maybe instead of $10, it's $20. Maybe instead of $50, it's $100. You know what you can do. Your praxis is your own. Just like we don't give you a dollar amount for financial engagement in Lace on Race. We trust you to have the capacity, volition, and agency to make these decisions on your own. But it's important to make the decision. I am so looking forward to the Dimes Challenge. There was an essay that I did in 2017 and revised, and we'll revise again, but I'm going to put what we have right now, the what's in the pinned posts underneath this. Next week, we are going to be talking again more about dimes, and then the week after that, perhaps more about envelopes. And we're also going to talk about what's in that essay where we talk about GoFundMe's and other ways of crowdfunding things and the racialized politics that underlie that too. But in the meantime, I want you to get in the habit of getting reflexive, getting humble, giving from first fruits, giving where it stretches you, and giving where it costs you. I told you 2022 would be lit. For those of you who are still with me at the end of 2023, I promise you're going to be changed. You're going to be changed. And the world of racial justice will be changed right along with you. Thank you for walking with me even when it's hard. I love you all.